Sony recently decided they were done with discs and claimed player were on the same page. Oh fucking no, we're not! And I recently had the perfect example of why this whole decision from Sony is fucked up. Marvel Tokon Fighting Soul had its final beta before release and it was available on the PS5 and Steam. I do own a PS5, but quite frankly I prefer Steam because at least I don't have to sell a kidney to keep playing online. So on the day of the beta, I was ready. I installed and launched the game on Steam, just to be greeted with a PSN login screen. On PC, not PlayStation, PC. The platform that I've built myself. And then, because apparently the universe wanted to make the joke for me, the PSN went down worldwide. So people couldn't play, and not just the beta. Every digital game were unavailable because they couldn't verify the user licenses. Your entire library on the PS5 was essentially locked until further notice. Not because the console was broken, not because the internet was bad, but because Sony's server decided they were taking an unpaid vacation. And that is the problem. It's not just about discs, it's about access and control. We're slowly going from buying and owning a piece of media to paying for a temporary permission to access the media. And those are two very different things. And if we're talking about media access, at least this video is totally free and will always be available. So don't be shy, hit subscribe. Unlike Sony PSN server, the subscribe button actually works. Now I know some people do not care about discs anymore, and honestly, you're right. Kind of. We don't actually miss the disc in and of itself, but what was on it and what it represented. Ownership. The feeling that this is yours and you can dispose of it how you like. When I was younger, games weren't just files on a computer or a console. They were objects. You had the box, the manual, the artwork, all the stuff inside that made you hyped to open it up. I also grew up broke, so when I got something, I wanted it to be mine, not rented or borrowed, mine. And back in the day, buying the physical media often came with bonuses, like the Silent Hill demo with Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation 1, Forsold, which is basically a second game coming in with The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker on the GameCube, or even getting the entire Persona 4 soundtrack on CD when you buy the game on the PS2. And before someone says the digital is better, I know it has its advantages. I love Steam, digital is convenient and can be cheap. You can buy instantly, you don't need storage space because you can re-download your games on demand. Games can be updated, patched and improved over time. Great! The problem is not the digital format. The problem is digital without ownership. Because what do you actually pay for? A file? No, not even. What you really get is a license, a permission slip, a little invisible contract saying you can use this until the company decides otherwise. You want us to buy the game? Cool, then give us the damn game. Not a temporary permission slip with a cute logo on it. I paid for this piece of media. Why should my access depend on whether a corporation still feels like hosting the file? Games disappear. Their online store closes. Movies get removed without warning from your library. They shut down servers because it costs them too much to maintain. And suddenly something you paid for becomes something you can no longer access. All because maintaining that long-term access wasn't made a priority by the greedy corporation. Because of course, past their short-term gain, nothing interests them. And your right as a consumer is amongst those uninteresting things. The Legend of Korra game is a perfect example. It disappeared from online stores, even Steam. But thankfully, Steam still lets me download it. But you don't even have to imagine the scenario where you can't, because Sony recently did it with a ton of movies and absolutely no remorse. Imagine your entire library depending on one company's decisions that are based on what it costs them to keep the file alive. This is why preservation is important, because medias are not just products. People grew up with them, they are culture and memories. but preservation requires access to the data, and that part specifically has become more and more problematic. Companies want the benefit of digital, no manufacturing, no inventory, instant distribution, but they don't necessarily want consumers to have control over what they purchased. They even fear this because physical media can be hacked, pirated, copied, and shared. I'm not advocating for this. I want this to be clear. You should pay for the media that you want. To me, the ideal solution should be simple. When a user pays for a media, you hand over the data to them and provide a safe way for them to re-download the data. And when a game or a piece of media reaches the end of its commercial life, you archive and preserve it. Keep the final version freely available. Our history and cultural media shouldn't disappear because a server bill wasn't paid. And yes, I get it, physical medias have problems too. Discs can rot, storage is limited, modern games are massive. A Blu-ray disc is not exactly fit to carry a 300 gigs game plus 10 years of update. I understand the logistic problem behind it. But to me, the answer shouldn't be that nobody owns anything anymore, because physical object still matters. My Linkin Park Meteora CD is literally cracked on my shelf. And I mean physically cracked, not because it was defective, but because I played it so much when I was younger that I physically damaged it. That disc is a memory. A Spotify file is not. I have collector's edition all around, games, soundtrack, art book, you name it, I have it. Object connected to moments of my life, experience I've been through. A shelf full of game is not just storage, it's a timeline. And that's when I started thinking, what if the problem was not the disc? What if the problem is that we stopped creating physical objects representing digital ownership? So I made my own. I designed a custom physical media box, a shell that can hold SD cards, micro SD cards, and even USB drive. You 3D print the box or have it printed. The cost is going to be around 50 grams of filament. So I don't know for you, for your filament, but that's about like 60 cents for me per box. And then you customize it however you want. I tried stickers and this works well. Like if you can see, like the stickers really like, it took well on the box, but I've missed the print on it. It's kind of fucked. My favorite option is to solder a plastic cover on it with a heated metal rod. It's a bit tricky and you should definitely ask some adults around you if you're underage to do this for you. And this is the test that I did. You can see like the plastic here. It's basically soldered to the box, but it gives a result really close to what we have with our current physical media on our console. You see, this is like as close as you can get to like a physical media. Here's the inside, by the way. I haven't shown this before. So you got like the USB slot right here where you can stick your USB drive. You got micro SD and SD cards over here. And as a bonus, this is also a fraction of the size on your shelves. I'm using a Switch game for comparison, but you can see like this saves a ton of space. You can easily organize your collection that way, and the storage inside can contain whatever you want. So that's way easier to manage, but you can put games, movies, music, even a complete franchise collection on this. One box, one place. Your data, your organization, your collection. It's not about pretending a disc was magical. It's about creating a physical connection to the digital world and take back sovereignty over the media you spend money on. Because that's the thing, the future shouldn't be about physical versus digital. It should be both. Digital gives us convenience, but physical gives us real ownership, and preservation gives us history. The industry didn't kill physical media because people stopped caring. They did it because they wanted the best return on investment with added control over what user can or can't do with the media. So in response, people stopped trusting companies to keep it available. As soon as Sony announced the death of disc for the PlayStation 5, people turned to GOG, and a Reddit user even made physical games out of old hard drive. Which is, to be honest, what inspired me for this project. I saw this guy going with hard drive, but I figured like they're too massive and like you can literally use SD cards that will do exactly the same job and they're also cheap. I mean, an SD card is still way smaller than a hard drive, let's be real. Who are we kidding with these? They're fucking huge. Ain't no way I'm buying shelves for this shit. So if the future is going digital, fine. just give the people the ability to actually own what they paid for. If I paid for access to a piece of media, I should have a reasonable way to preserve that access independently. Because at the end of the day, ownership doesn't mean having a plastic disc. Ownership, to me, means having practical control over a personal copy of the media I paid for. And I made this to be freely available. The files for this project are going to be completely free and available on every major platform for 3D printed file, and also on the Discord's channel. If you want to support the channel, memberships and Patreon are available. If not, you can just join the Discord, download the file, and yell at me about my terrible opinions. It's already deeply enough appreciated. But anyway, if you didn't know, now you know. Keep your games backed up and your memories alive. All that's left for you is to subscribe and check out the previous video right here, or the entire playlist right here. Bye bye.